Couture Construction, Season 10, Episode 136, The Blueprint, Architecture, Landscape, and the Site Plan. Welcome back to Couture Construction. I'm your host, Andrew Denny, and you're listening to Season 10, The Build Revisited, a design journey from land to legacy. Every home has a story, and here's how it's built. Today's episode is all about what happens once the land is secured, and the real vision starts to take shape. We're calling this chapter The Blueprint, and we're exploring the earliest stages of collaboration between architect, landscape architect, and builder. This is where the site meets strategy, where the environment, the layout, and the client's vision all begin to merge into something truly livable. Joining me today are two brilliant minds who know this phase better than anyone, and two previous guests of the show. Michael Katsaitis, a Nashville-based architect known for his timeless yet highly personalized work, and Josiah Lockard, a nationally recognized landscape architect who specializes in integrating outdoor living, natural features, and sustainability into the DNA of every home he touches. We'll explore how homes are placed on the land, how scale and proportion are shaped by context, and how early collaboration leads to long-term success. Michael and Josiah, welcome back to the show. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us
Thank
again.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great to be back.
Fancy new digs. We're on video and under the lights. So this is a really kind of exciting topic for us to jump into. So why don't I start with kind of the first topic? How, and Michael, why don't we start with you? How do you approach a raw site for the first time? What are you looking for as an architect?
Well, first of all, we approach it very carefully because I've had so many tick bites.
Yeah.
During initial site visits, but obviously we're in Middle Tennessee. Topographically challenged properties are everywhere. But that's a good thing. It's an asset, I think. So we walk the site, we see the environment. We see how the topography, how the approach to the house will become. We've had so many opportunities to create a backwards home where the front is towards the back of the house, because as you approach the house, you see the back of the house. So it's the approach, the entry points. Is it a bad word here, but is it a split level? Is it the daylight basement? The entry points to the house. Of course, the trees, the surrounding, the views. Is it a golf course? Is it a lake? Is it a pond? Is it the ocean? If we were living in a seaside area. So yeah, we see the topography. We automatically, when we get the client and we have the site plan, we recognize kind of the topography, but seeing it and walking it, it's different.
So physically being there is an important part.
Yes. So, seeing the sun and how it will affect the
Yeah, our previous conversation, you talked a lot about the sun, which I find very interesting. Yeah. Josiah, how do you, approach these types of things?
Well, I think that when I have a client that comes to with a piece of land, every piece of land, it has a story to tell. It has a deep history, and we want to look at like those deep ecological layers that has happened before we inhabited the site. So we look at kind of like, what is the land trying to tell us? Let's listen first, and then interpret what it wants to be. Topography, hydrology, the solar aspects of how the light hits the land. Those are all very much important things. So, we go in first listening, and asking before we kind of start to decide what we want to do, how we want to affect and change the land. So I have a pretty intense inventory and analysis, site analysis side of everything. We want to do that study first. It's a real important aspect, I think, of just determining, even house placement, where we want approach sequences and so forth, like what you were saying, Michael, earlier. All of that is pretty critical early on, just to kind of get a feel for it, and then ask the client, how does it speak to them? what do they see? What do they envision? Because we want to try to kind of marry those two things together as much as possible.
Very, very cool. So you talked about, both of you just talked about environment and topography. But what are the other elements? Like, wind is one that we have listed here. Direction. I recently was looking at a piece of property, and it was at the top of a hill. Topography was like 960 feet, and you came up. The bottom was at 740, so it came up. But once you got up to the top of the hill, it was pretty breezy, and is like, from an architecture standpoint, to me, that's something that really may be neat to be able to incorporate, especially Michael's Greek. So every time I think about him, it's, I think about Santorini or where they're able to leverage like those breezes and things like that.
So how do you capture those breezes? 200 years ago, no air conditioning.
Yeah.
Right. That design, the central hallway that acted as the air conditioning for the entire house. Obviously, we're not going to do that nowadays. But how does the roof line is designed to take effect of those winds? How do you protect the porch or the front door or any door in that matter? So we, trying to look out for the builder and his warranties.
Yeah. Which is important, because that's ultimately the client too, right?
That's right. Yeah. If you have a driving rain, how do you protect those entry points? So,
Josiah, when you see different elements, you talked about obviously this land here long before somebody takes possession of it. You mentioned a story. What is the story you're looking for in the land that helps you help the architect or team up with the architect to integrate that story into a build?
I think, looking at topography, some of the obvious things like topography is one of them. Soil makeup, the rock outcroppings, the stone, all of those elements that kind of tell the story of what's happened here before. Was this land originally forested? Was it a prairie with the bison grazed over?
Oh, wow.
What are those layers that are buried deep beneath the soil that we're just there to kind of uncover? That kind of helps me create a context for the rest of the design to make sure that what we're doing fits into the land. As a lot of people, we try to sometimes shape the land to our needs, but sometimes we need to kind of look at what the land is telling us and kind of mesh into that with it. It creates more of a seamless flow with what we're trying to do there. So materials, plant materials, hardscape materials, those kind of things. I like to spec those to reflect kind of the story of what the land was and is. It gives us a sense of kind of an identity to the region that we're inhabiting at the time.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, those environmental elements don't come after the design. It is the design. It
should inform the design.
It is
right?
the starting point.
Right.
So, are these things that really help inspire you, like to do your work? Obviously, there's a client as part of it, but just the element of the land can help really inspire the starting place for. Really, it sounds like, if I'm hearing this correctly, some of the things that must be integrated into the design, right?
It definitely has to.
Yeah.
We can move some dirt, we can cut, we can fill, but there's limitations. And then if you do have a critical lot property that does slope a lot, how do you soften that tall wall? Do you build a raised planter bed or terrace that with again landscaping to soften that drastic side condition?
What are some examples of things that don't work? Like, give me an example of maybe going to a piece of property where you would struggle to come up with a good cohesive design. And I mean, I'm sure that's kind of a put you on the spot question, but what are some things that happen? Yeah.
I don't see it as a struggle. I see it as a challenge. We're problem solvers. We'll eventually get there, but it's a challenging. And all those topographically challenged properties are in my opinion, they are the better properties. They have character. They have movement. I don't see it as a struggle. I see it as a challenge. Now, the soil conditions, that's a challenging. That would tell us, what kind of foundation type we will have. Where we place the walkout or daylight basement, and how to treat that slope. Do we have two garages? One up on the high end, which is more typical, and one on the low side. Do we create a speakeasy? We're talking about restaurants and all that. Do we create a speakeasy in the basement with a showcase garage, where that can be as a display of a car collection?
I like these. I like these homes.
Yeah.
These are the good homes.
We do a lot of nice homes. We've been blessed. Yes.
I think something that doesn't work is when we don't pay attention to what the site is, and we try to cheat, say, storm water and rain water. Water's going to do what it wants to do. Maybe specing the wrong type of plant material that creates a management and a maintenance nightmare later down the road. Things that just don't plug in well with the site conditions that we have there. Anytime people or one tries to cut corners on that, thinking that we can cheat nature just a bit, it usually comes back and tells us otherwise.
Usually wins.
Not recognizing who else we're sharing the land with. Like, say we have deer, obviously, a lot in Tennessee. Do you put things out there that the deer are going to devour in one season or not? And how does that affect what you're trying to do there? Can I grow vegetables in my yard because I haven't factored in that we have other wildlife we're sharing the land with? Those kind of things, I think.
Or do you welcome the nature?
Right. That's
to approach the house.
If we work with it, I think it works, and we can find a way. Like you said, a challenge is an opportunity there. If we try to just deny that, I think that doesn't end up working in the long run.
The importance of team. Okay, so this is somebody has just risked a great deal to secure a piece of property. They have a dream vision. You guys are the next logical step. Talk to me about the importance of team and this being a team approach when you're developing a piece of land.
I don't start any design process until I know there's a team. There's been a few projects, one project out of my entire career that they came and said, we want you to design a house, but we don't know where we're going to be building it. I said, time out. Wait a minute. Design
Is it on wheels?
Design speculative, talking about challenges.
Yeah.
Anyway, that project never saw the light of day. But team. We always want to have the builder, the interior designer, landscape architect. It's that everybody's on the same page. Now the drawback is that now all of a sudden I have four clients, not just one. I'm trying to impress or meet your guidelines as a landscape architect of what you're looking for, what the interior designer is looking for, and what my ultimate client is. their home. So, but it helps budgetary.
Pays for itself, right?
Yes, it does. That builder is going to keep us in line. Everybody has a budget. So having the team together from day one, buying into all the decisions that we're making through initial schematic design to second or third revisions to the design development and all the way to the construction documentation. So yes, the team is very important to be there.
Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Teamwork is the way to go on that. I find it so much easier to do a project when we all meet early on and kind of get to know each other's styles and approaches to things. It makes the collaboration just flow a lot simpler later down the road. Having a good relationship with the builder and your architect going in on the front end, and the interior designer is not something to pass up. I mean, you really have got to work on developing those relationships and making sure that you all function well together. Your styles don't contrast too much that could cause issue later. Sometimes design via committee can slow projects down, but it's a necessary step to make sure that everybody is on the same page. And I personally don't like doing projects completely solo, like you said, very isolated, design the house without seeing anything where we're going to put it. I don't like doing a landscape plan or any type of reforestation plan, anything, without knowing all the other aspects that are going on there. So the team is essential to
It
successful
reduces the redesign of the value engineering aspect of the design, saying, hey, what are their other options? If the builder is there during that those meetings, we'll know that, well, we might need to find a better solution for that item. So,
let's say I'm the homeowner, and what information do you need to extract from me before we go out to the land, or once we're there, to help guide? So what are the types of questions you're going to be asking me as the homeowner? Obviously, you guys are going to see technical things. You're also going to see design opportunities. You're dealing, for all intents and purposes, with somebody that has a dream, but they're not the expert. So, again, let's say it's a beautiful hilltop view, and, they envision being able to open the front door and sit on the porch and see, that's kind of where they want to start. How do you extract that information? Where do you start that process when you're at the site to help collect information to form the design?
Well, I think it starts before we even hit the site. We're trying to identify the scope of work, the scope of design, what are they looking for? And then the clients will always give you their Google Docs, their Pinterest board, all that information. Majority of the times that you're happy that their Pinterest board has your images and your project. That's a good thing. So having all that information, defining the programming. So when you go out to the side, you can identify and locate, where is the primary bedroom? Where is that club room? What are the views to the pool, to that golf course, to that lake? So the pre-design aspect or the programming aspect is very important as well. Yeah.
Okay.
I think this whole process has helped me become a much better listener. Communication, I think, is key. Early conversations, from everything from just a phone call out of the blue with a client that has this very foggy vision in their mind of what they think they want to see, especially in outdoor spaces. That leads to a conversation first, and I really try to break down where are you from? You know, what are some of the things you remember growing up with that you really like to see? How did you use this space? How do you have a family that's going to use this space on the weekends, every day, the frequency? How are you really interpreting and using this space? And it kind of helps me start to build kind of what a set of things that we want to, objectives we want to achieve. And there it's just continuing that conversation with the client to really refine down what's going on inside of their head, in their mind, and then helping me interpret that and then translate these ideas that may feel like a foggy dream at first to an actual built environment later. So I think communication and listening skills is my first step in all of that. And then continuing those conversations throughout the process before we even have a site visit. I like to have a good conversation with my clients first about that.
Is there any particular time that you like to visit a site? And what I mean by that is certain weather conditions, certain time of day. You know, do those things help when you're? And I know there's limited control to that, but you know, we just went through a very wet spring here. You know, is that going to be a good time to go visit the site? And obviously rain is going to happen, but does that help you all, or is it best to have, you know, that first light or towards dusk, or does any of that matter?
It matters, but hopefully we have the vision that we can see the property, whether it be in the middle of the spring or summer, with all the trees are green, or in the fall where they're bare, and you can see miles and miles away. So we can design something that in the winter, those views that those trees are allowing us now, that we can capture those views and those, you know, those vistas.
Yeah, I'm also an ecologist, so I look at very quickly if I see reference species and certain things. It tells me a lot of data about the site, just from what is there, what's growing there, soil types, conditions, everything like that. So it helps me kind of interpret a lot. You know, I can gain a lot of information from one site visit in any particular time of day. That being said, I always keep my rain jacket in my truck, and I often will get out there and let's see what this place looks like in a downpour, because we're looking at hydrology a lot, and we're looking at reestablishing those natural wet weather conveyances on some of our larger landowners, especially. So that is something that real time in observance is important. But that being said, having that base knowledge of when I see certain things, it tells me a lot about the site. I can interpret a lot from that.
When you guys are stepping into the process, tell me about kind of the timeline this should take. So clearly there's conversations before you ever get out there. You're assembling a team, you're working with a team. You've obviously got to get the client's input. When does the client, what would be a reasonable expectation for the timeline of what it looks like to start seeing that? Okay, here you had mentioned 3D modeling earlier, you know, now this is what it's going to look like.
Look, initially, the first phase, we're pretty much working in 2D, because it's a whole lot easier to move a pencil line rather than a 3D model. So we gotta identify those rooms, those adjacencies, that circulation in that space. But in the schematic phase, 2D only. Eventually, after 3 or 4 meetings reviewing the floor plans, and then we start studying the elevation and the facade, even though we have an idea of what the facade looks like or will look like because of what the client likes as far as the aesthetics, the architectural style. But in the schematic phase, and again, it depends on the size of the home, but it can vary from a month to 2 months.
Okay.
And that's mostly driven by the client and how much time do they want to take to absorb all the design stuff that we're throwing at them, those ideas. So about a month and a half in the schematic phase. And then at the end of the schematic phase, then we move into the 3D modeling and the design development phase. Now they see the house, how it sits on the side with the topography, and we can spin it around. We can do sun studies. Part of that, this dynamic software that we use, we can set it in the spring, in the fall, in the summer, dawn to dusk, midday, to see how that sun, how that shade, how is that sun going to hit my TV, and how much, are we going to have to do some screening and curtains, and that great room, that family room. So a month and a half, another month and a half in the design development phase, and after everything is approved in the design development phase, then we'll move to the CDs, the construction documentation, and that's about a month and a half. So in total, 4 months.
Okay.
From first line on paper to finished CDs, as far as architectural design. Of course, the builder is going to still have to have structural plans. We have to have civil, we have to grading, erosion control, landscaping. But that landscaping, because we're part of that team, that landscaping design is also coming along in that schematic design phase as we're designing and developing that house. That landscape design is also developing at the same rate. So when we do create that 3D model, that pool design that the landscape architect has designed, we can incorporate that into the model as well.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, kind of depends on the complexity of the project and the scope and size. We're working anything from parks down to balconies. So, I mean, scale of project matters a lot. We've got a few projects now that are larger developments that are 5+ years, through we're a year and a half into just that part of it. Because we're dealing with city codes and changing this and that and bringing in sewer systems for the neighborhoods and such. So it can vary a lot on the residential side of things. Like what you said, we're kind of developing alongside of the rest of the team. So we try to match those timelines as much as possible to make sure that we're not way ahead or way behind. We want to kind of develop this plan together. But yeah, generally, a month or two here or there for each phase isn't really unheard of. That's pretty common, unless we have a really large backlog and then we're behind, or
it's a month or two after we start,
right? Or there's a lot of revisions, and we've decided. I had a few clients, everything from, hey, I'm designing for a wedding, to the vision that they had wasn't quite clear, and budgets come into play, and we have to do some major revisions later, and then of course that kind of resets those clocks a lot when we're doing that kind of thing.
So, in today's era, and I'm so happy to see this because, and it's been a long time, and it used to be the most prestigious homes have always had this, but the outdoor living, the hardscapes, they're becoming more and more common. And in some of the homes we deal with, I mean, these are big, beautiful, I would characterize them as estate homes or whatever you want to call them. They're nice. The hardscape seems to be such an integral part of the design. I almost feel like, as putting myself in the client's shoes, we live in just one of the most beautiful places you could ever want to live. We don't have an ocean, but that's, we can't control that. But we have the ability here to spend really 9-10 months of the year outdoors, at least partial of those times. It would almost be more important for me to have really nice outdoor living and hardscape that, it feels like a respite from from life to be able to go enjoy those types of things. Talk to me about that when you're designing something like this, because that would kind of be your specialty, but it would be your specialty as well. So how does that work? And do you sometimes work from the outdoor living in? Is that just a personal thing, or again, is it you have to? Well, can you start there?
We have to identify where is that pool, where is the hardscape, and during my design phase. Is, I put a dummy pool there and saying, okay, this is a placeholder. We'll let the landscape architect have the fun of designing the pool. But for now, this is where the pool is. This is where the outdoor kitchen is. This is where the tennis court, the pickleball court, is as well. So
I love that.
One of my favorite things to do is to try to get the client to get outside as much as possible. Like, I'm going to bring as much of your life outdoors and integrate that space as possible. So, extending, the living room spaces and the views, the expansive views out into, say, a sunroom, out to a patio space that now we're making our coffee in the morning. We go sit down. We're reading the paper or whatever, a good book in the afternoon. We're spending all that, rather than sitting on the couch inside, we're bringing you outside. We incorporate things like attracting birdsong as part of the landscape. So you have these other things that are complementing with the hard and built environment as well. Framing views and maybe a culinary garden. I love integrating culinary gardens and greenhouses into the plan. So now we're cooking and eating and growing and relaxing. All these things that we're doing, we're taking that outside into nature. And we want to make that as comfortable as possible and integrate that into the site as much as possible. I always feel like the hardscape should almost just bleed out into the landscape and seamlessly marry itself with the land. And that's what we're looking to try to accomplish, is how do we blend the built environment, the home, the structure, into the hardscape, into those spaces that we're enjoying, and then feather that out into nature itself, to the raw nature at the edges.
And part of that nature, we have outbuildings as well. We have a barn. We have a chicken coop.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a retreat or a spa or a movement studio, a yoga studio. That's a ways from it. But as one approaches the house, you see those outbuildings. You see that there's a little rustic modern barn.
Songwriting studio, whatever.
Whatever. Yeah,
we're working on a project right now that we have a very nice home built on a challenging topography, but we kind of put everything to pull away from the house. Take a walk. It's on the edge of the lake, so you take a walk out, and there's a rock outcropping there that overlooks the lake, and that was the perfect spot for like a little yoga meditation spot in the morning. But it's separated from, say, like the fire pit or the other areas over here, because this is just its quiet space that draws you through the rest of the landscape, and it's integrated completely into the rest of the hardscape that way, how we pulled it away, out and back. And just everything from circulation patterns and the way that you create those meanders and things just kind of extends your indoor living to your outdoor living space.
I love that, the meanders.
Yep.
I love that. So speaking of that, there's constantly evolutions in style. What are a few of the things you all are seeing currently that are new and exciting that you're integrating into your respective designs?
I see more natural materials coming in line. We see a lot of wood. We see a lot of thermally treated wood, so we can last a long time out there. Modern lines, flat prairie-like, mid-century kind of modern projects. So we're everybody's kind of leaning toward, but the traditional Greek revival home is always inviting, is always identifiable. Everybody loves that, especially around here in the South.
I'd say, like what you were saying with the materials, especially, people are a little more conscious about life cycles of materials and more natural materials than before. We're seeing a lot less in my end, my clientele. We're a lot less manufactured stone, a little more natural stone, different more materials, I would say, that reflect the environment that they're coming from. People are ditching less lawn and more prairies and meadows and those kind of things. Quiet space is really important now. Outdoor kitchens were a big trend a few years ago, and they still are, but we're seeing more kind of just more places to relax and just get away from. As Nashville grows and our area grows and it becomes more busy and dense, I think those spaces where you can have those quiet respite moments away, and maybe it's something that's just a little spot to sit with a water feature and hearing something that kind of covers some of the noise. I noticed that's becoming a lot more, seeing a lot more people asking about those things and become more of a priority. Of course, screening and privacy is always something that a lot of people are wanting to kind of create that idea of nest, that kind of quiet space.
And those outdoor spaces don't have to be from the public area. It could also be coming out of the private primary bedroom. You can have a little coffee, like you were saying earlier, but just still secluded and private.
Kelly Ladwig was a guest on talking about finding the land, and she said that she thought the big new trend was going to be, and you kind of mentioned it, like a wellness studio that's detached, like just an outbuilding that you can just go. I guess wellness is defined by whomever. Wellness to me on some days may be, a whiskey over ice, or it may be attempting yoga, but something away from the house. Are you guys seeing that?
Yeah, we have several projects that incorporate little retreats like that, little spas. That can be from an exercise room to a movement studio to a sauna and cold plunges and natural pools.
Natural pools, that's becoming another trend.
Talk to me about natural pools. What defines that?
Well, it used to be we'd have chlorine pools, and then we went to saltwater pools, and now we have occasionally we're getting more questions about, what if we could make this a natural swimming pool? And that's almost like, if you look at it, you're looking at like what we used to just call an old pond or swimming hole sometimes. But I mean, it's constructed. I mean, there is it's a constructed structure. You are
and the water circulates.
The water circulated. It is, you're still, it's clean. Where you are using plant material integrated sometimes into the edges, sometimes not. Usually these beached entries are getting really popular. You just kind of slowly wade into it. But you're surrounded by, say, like stone and rocks rather than more pool decking, and so less pool decking, more stone and natural materials. Occasionally people want it to be basically a constructed pond and that they swim in, and we have things from UV filters and things like that. It keeps the water clean and clear. Occasionally, though, we do have to share that with other wildlife that may also see this as home. So I always caution my clients now, remember, natural swimming pools in Tennessee
have natural things.
You have natural things. So if you see a little water snake or something like that, this is part of the system that we're creating. So it's one of those things. But I feel like people are trying to really integrate more of these natural spaces into their architecture now, and having those spots that they can just get out in nature. I mean, doctors are prescribing nature now, nature bathing and forest bathing now. So they're saying this is something we need to be doing. I think part of the wellness aspect of home is having those natural spaces in whatever form that might try to take shape. Bird sanctuaries, a lot of bird watching now. People are really thinking about that, pollinators and things, seeing these things that you don't necessarily see in the city as much. that's becoming part of the kind of the wellness aspect of creating a landscape for someone.
Absolutely love it. Okay, so final question I have for the both of you, and just kind of the topic I want to talk about on this is next step in this would be obviously the team. We can't have everybody on one episode, so we're breaking this into sections. You both mentioned, and obviously part of this team would be builder and interior designer. You brought up something interesting earlier that kind of piqued my interest. At this stage, the builder, you made the comment, is going to kind of be there to say,
The police.
Yeah, the police. So that's a function we're looking for at that point, is because you guys are the creative, so to speak, and a builder is the implementation and the execution. So they're going to be able to say, Michael, I love this design, but you're talking about 100 and dump trucks of material needed. But if we just maybe can shift it back 6 feet and lose the sight line, is that how the team works? Is that the feedback you're looking for right there?
How it works. And then talking about site visits, so we might have to take 2 site visits.
Okay.
At the initial phase, and then at the end of the schematic phase or the design development phase, where we have the opportunity to go out and stake those corners and those rooms and see if we can shift it. Is anything on the site, like a septic field or a leaching field, that would deter us from moving it? Because yes, we can save some money, but then we can't shift it because of those obstructions, like a septic area. So yeah, when the builder kind of tells us, hey, let's look at some different opportunities. Is it shifting it? Is it making it smaller? Is that footing of the pool is going to be too close to the setback? So yeah, we make adjustments.
Need that. Yeah.
Yeah, having a good builder relationship is key. I've had a few builders that they just want to throw up retaining walls everywhere, and this is their solution, and they may see you more of an obstacle rather than part of the vision, and vice versa. I don't. Why do we have to get in the way of what I'm trying to do here, with this massive vision that I had? So always having the right attitude and having that right relationship with the builder where y'all can kind of work through those issues together, because there are a lot of logistical issues that pop up on a project. We were dealing with some challenging setback lines the other day on trying to place this culinary garden, these structures, and we just couldn't get the angle that we wanted because the setback lines where we could build were right there, and we were very restrictive. But working with the builder and the homeowner was able to do on site, this is where those multiple site visits come in, work through those issues to come up with a solution that everybody felt very good, and actually we like better than our initial plan even. So this is just some of the things that you've always got to. Communication is key, and having a good builder relationship helps all that transition go smoother from conception of a project down to a built, finalized project.
Yeah,
and it goes not just site placement or site fit. It also goes down to the material, to the structure. Are we using open web joist? Are we using I-joist? What type of material? What kind of structure are we using? What kind of exterior material are we using? Natural material is nice, but they're expensive as well.
Right.
So do we see an alternate material that we can use?
And those budgets sometimes drive the ultimate decision, unfortunately, on many projects.
Yeah.
But
so I fibbed a little bit because 2 more questions came up. So I'm gonna. I promise these are the final 2 that I'd like your opinion on. One, you mentioned septic. Is that in either of your purview? Or does that need to be known before you even get to the site, like where the septic field is?
It has to be known.
Okay.
It has to be known for what it's the site perks for, how many bedroom,
right,
and where it is.
Okay.
Where the backup area is,
Okay.
So,
So you guys need that information before you.
That would define the building envelope or where we can place the house.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, leach fields are sacred spaces. It's a no-go land.
Yeah.
We have to define those areas.
It
we have
becomes
to
your
be
meadow, though.
It's a great place for a meadow, So it's, but it is something that's very important, especially now that we're doing a lot in the rural urban interface and even further out. So that's always on our minds, where the septic is, what kind of septic.
Well, it's
system
interesting. We're entertaining a remodel, but now we're entertaining building an out structure, and for the addition, on our home, the new septic field, because we were adding a bedroom, was going to have to go through a creek, I guess, with some sort of, but then take up almost an acre on the where all of our potager garden is and fire pit and all of our outdoor space. Wow. And we had talked to Williamson County and said, okay, well, let's say we move that, and because it's not technically structures, could we come back and put our garden and, they're just raised beds and this and that. And didn't quite get an answer on that, but I don't think they want anything there. So maybe wait until way after the process and do that. Okay. So next question I have is, just from a design perspective, we obviously have a compass. When you're building a home, and ideally, do you want, if any direction is available, do you want the sun going west to east over the home, or do you want it coming, like, from sun placement? Would you want the front of the house east, or would you want it north, or south?
More than likely, I would want the front of the house to face north.
Okay.
The back of the house to face south. That's where it's going to get its most daylight. That's where your pool, you're going to hang out with at your pool. So you want all that, the majority of the daylight to be in the back. So back of the house facing south. Does it happen all the time? No.
Sure.
Maybe 50%.
Could be on one side of the street and you can't, if it's
just, that's optimum, but
depends on if the client's a morning person too, right?
Yeah.
Right. I personally like outdoor spaces to, reflect, hey, I want to watch the sunset. I know I'm not racing home to catch the latest and greatest thing on Netflix. I want to see the sunsets. That's the most important thing for me, is to end my day, is to have that time where sunsets are in view, but not that radiant heat as well. So the way that we design that space and the orientation does matter. Some people, they're morning people. They want to see the sun rise, and so they want to walk out to a space where the sun's coming up. So it kind of just depends on the client a lot, but generally, like you said, north, optimally, if we have free reign to do whatever, that would give you the most choices, I believe.
And we're kind of known for designing the staircase, and it's an architectural monumental piece of the house, and it's facing the front most of the time. And now the front of the house is facing west, so now it's getting all that heat. But we can protect it, we can cover it, the tree canopies, whatever, if we have any. If we do if the front of the house is facing west, now we have all the glass in that stairwell
getting superheated. It
sexy.
Changes the mechanicals. You're going to have different mechanicals, everything.
A lot of heat gain.
Yeah, nobody wants to race home to either watch Netflix or go. But what they don't want to race home to is step into an oven.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, this has been absolutely fantastic. You guys are great. Let's move on to rapid fire. So, actually, I'm going to ask you one more question. And just simply because I think this is important. What do you hope more clients understand about this phase of the project before the first wall ever goes up?
How important it is to take your time to really understand your site, your environment, and what you're trying to do with it and to it. I had a client just recently say, I want this no maintenance landscape. And I was like, well, you're really cheating yourself if you want that, because you're saying that, what you garden, park, farm, home is an object, and you're outside of that, not a part of that. I said, this is a process, not an object. It's a system. So integrating your relationship into the land and into your home and into your garden, your space, is super important. Having that kind of vision going into it, I think, is very important to producing something that's really special when it's done, and it's very personal. We're here. Hundreds of people have inhabited this space eons before us, and over time, and it's our turn. What are we going to do with the land, and how are we going to treat it responsibly and steward it, and have that relationship with that? And that creates home. It creates a space in our environment. Like I said, I'm into college, as I study how we interact with our environment a lot as well. So that's goes into the design of the whole entire thing, from my end of things.
I love that.
I want to learn how they want to live in the house. How do they entertain? Do they have kids? The kids have friends over. How is that living, breathing machine happening with the inside, outside environment? All the fun stuff that we put in the houses. So the site will dictate that, and it eventually will yield us an aesthetic, pleasing building.
Well, that's great advice. And if I had to summarize what I heard both of you say, it's be open and be patient. And that those two things are going to yield really good results.
And I think listening,
listening,
is
absolutely.
It's so important.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, now we're going to go to rapid fire. So I'll start with you, Michael. What's your go-to summer weekend activity?
Summer, cup of coffee. If we're at the beach, making a sandwich and enjoying that sandwich on the beach is nothing like it.
Yeah.
And then in the afternoons, grilling out, enjoying a steak, maybe.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Josiah?
I hear sleep is nice.
Yeah. See,
Overrated. Overrated, right?
in between that sandwich and steak, nap.
No, I like to just kind of unplug a little bit from things. My idea is I don't want to go into town. I'm just going to stay out here and spend as much time in nature as I can, and just kind of reconnect a little bit. Sitting on the porch, watching the sunset, reading a good book, anything like that is just great. Just anything that quiets everything down. And,
having no plans.
Having no plans.
Is your summer go-to
that's
activity.
Kind of hiding out.
Isn't that like it's a treat? It's a treat.
It is.
Michael, one thing you never travel without.
Talking about quietness, a charged headphones.
Yeah. That's right. Josiah?
I would say music. Always got to have kind of what you were saying, music. All right. I hate to say that I bring my iPhone and iPad everywhere I go, but it seems like that is kind of part of what I have to do. But anytime I can leave that behind and pick up something else, it's great.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah, not usually.
No, we're always on call.
That's right. For something.
Yeah.
Design taste, neutral or bold?
I like bold.
Yeah.
I like contrast.
Your design is really bold and beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love it.
I'd say natural.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good
Neutral,
one.
I guess,
We're going
right?
to change it.
You know what?
I mean-
I like bold on the exterior and natural
And right.
inside.
I think you kind of have to have
monochromatic.
both. I mean,
Yeah,
there has to be a little contrast there.
Little
I like contrast.
juxtaposition. Yeah. Okay. Michael, build your dream backyard.
A nice pool where I can float and saying that I'm exercising.
Yeah. It's technically water aerobics.
Yes.
Getting in the float.
That's right. That outdoor kitchen, even though that smoker, that grill, that open fire.
Yeah. Wonderful. Josiah, your dream backyard.
Well, I'm actually in the process of kind of doing that right now. I, recently moved not too long ago, and I hadn't done anything for a long time. But more often than not, I'm kind of trying to screen views and things. Now I'm trying to keep views open because I have these expansive views. So I'm trying to create some framing around that. So framing my back patio to overlook this beautiful topography, and then kind of putting some very tall, wispy native plants that I'm looking through out there to kind of create that space. So I have a pond in the distance I'm rehabbing as well, so we're gonna have water. I'm gonna have everything I need right there. So
nice.
That's kind of what
now,
I'm
where's your
doing.
Where's your retreat?
It's an undisclosed location that is not up for development around there. But no, I live a little ways out of town, but it's just kind of nice having views. Is what I like.
Nice.
But,
very cool.
Very
cool. Okay, well, gentlemen, this has been great. This phase of the process, before any lumber is delivered or dirt is moved, is about alignment with the land, with the team, and most importantly with the client's values. Every great home starts with understanding its environment, and the earlier you bring the full team together, the better the outcome. When architecture and landscape are designed in tandem, the result is a home that truly belongs to its site. Next time on Couture Construction, we step into the foundation and framing phase, where plans become physical and early design decisions begin to show up. You'll hear from builder Jay Harper and designer Marie-Jo Bouffard as they unpack how flow, structure, and trust shape this pivotal stage of the build. Thanks for joining us on Couture Construction. If today's episode gave you new insight into the build process, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow us on Instagram at Couture Construction for more behind-the-scenes moments from the world of luxury home building. This episode was produced by Cast Collective and Chelsea Rand. Until next time, keep cultivating creativity.